Live from the UK and the USA, it's Wheel of Prog.
Mostly UK this episode. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Wheel of Prog, a very exciting one. We're going to be talking about the albums of the Electric Light Orchestra, ELO, Geoff Lynne's ELO, whatever you want to call it these days. We have Geoff joining us from the UK, and we have our new friend who's done a lot of reviews for us, you may have seen on the website, also from the UK, Mr. Steve Joyce. And our third friend, and it's a very special guest, Mr. Jem Godfrey from Frost. Welcome, sir.
Hello. How are you?
We are doing great. Happy to have you on here.
Yeah.
Something just, we were trying to figure out who to have on this, and something told me that you were a ELO fan, and certainly when I asked, you said yes. So hopefully that's true, and you didn't just want to be on the podcast. But so basically we have 15 albums. We are including just all the regular studio albums. We are including the Xanadu one, which is the Olivia Newton-John's half ELO album as well, the couple new ones that they did. And so it'll be a lot of fun. But really, we want to get things going by talking about the new Frost record, which hopefully you guys are aware of at this point. Life in the Wires comes out on October 18th. Just an epic, awesome double album of proggy goodness. And it's great. It's Frost at its best. We've had a chance to hear it. It's just awesome, man. Congrats. It's such a great album. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's how do I follow that? Yes, thank you very much. That's lovely.
Yeah. So before we jump into the ELO stuff, I do want to ask you a little bit about the record for people that aren't aware or whatever. There's been two singles out now: the Part One title track, "Life in the Wires," and "Moral and Consequence," a big long 8-minute number. This thing covers everything. There's shorter songs. There's long epics. There's a 15-minute song. Talk about just deciding to write this. Where'd you get the idea, the inspiration, and why a double album, all that?
Well, it's actually funny that we're doing this on an ELO-based sort of Wheel of Prog thing, because actually, weirdly, I've always wanted to do a double album with Frost, and one of the templates for that actually was out of the blue, funnily enough, which is that's quite prescient.
Yeah.
The idea was just in terms of the format. I wasn't thinking of it as like a CD or a streaming thing. I was thinking of it literally as 4 sides of vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And that very much helped me kind of arrange it and think of it in sort of 4 smaller races rather than one long kind of marathon kind of thing. So it was, and I knew that 20 minutes is about a good length for something that sounds decent on vinyl. And so I thought, okay, I basically got to write 4 21, 22-minute bits of music. And the thing about doing it that way is actually you're not aware that actually what you're doing is writing 86 minutes of music. You're actually doing it in these little chunks. Yeah. And it made it much less daunting. And as a result, then it almost becomes the 3 acts of a film, or with the 4th, maybe. So it was, you introduce the character, and the character's this person, and this is why they're doing it. They decide to do something, and then this is the journey they're on, and then it's the ending. And so it kind of weirdly made it feel a lot easier than the other albums we've done. It was just sort of it kind of, in a lot of I've noticed this whole cliche of it writes itself, but in a lot of cases this really did kind of just sort of came out of here, and it was such, I've got to say, it was such fun that it took me 5 months to do, and I have never had so much fun in my whole life.
Wow. And in terms of this album, you've written all of it yourself and sing pretty much all of it yourself as well?
Yeah, there's 2 tracks. John Mitchell and I, we co-wrote one called Strange World and one called Starting Fires, and they were part of a previous songwriting session we'd done, sort of just after Day and Age. I think we wrote about 4 or 5 songs at that point, and it kind of, in terms of the storyline, they sort of fitted. So I did a little bit of tweaking, but they were such lovely songs that they had to go on. But in terms of everything else, because I had a storyline and I knew how it was going to go, it was actually then I knew kind of what music I needed to write. And actually, in some respects, it was easy to do that rather than try and reversion something or repurpose something that John and I had written. So I think there's still 3 or 4 songs knocking around that will see the light of day that just weren't appropriate for this project. So it kind of, apart from that, it was all me. And I did sing it all, which was brilliant fun. Again, it was that thinking about, I realised I actually haven't sung that much since Milliontown, which was 20 years ago. So I thought I should probably have another go. Probably about enough time now.
Cool.
Steve, I didn't get to coordinate with you, but if you have a question about the new record or something, you wanna pop in there.
Yeah, I'd like to know about. I think is Craig back in the band, and could you talk about the drumming on this album, which is particular interest of mine?
Yeah, he is very much. It was. He was brilliant. Actually, he helped us out when we did the Day and Age. We did 5 shows in the UK a couple of years ago, and Darby Todd was going to do the shows with us, but then he got a last minute. He got nicked basically by Devin Townsend at the last minute, which is fair enough. Fair enough. So I think Devin is slightly taller than me as well, so I wasn't going to argue. So I think in terms of that, it just went, okay, that's fine. So then we had to reschedule the shows because of that. But then we were talking to Craig. I was talking to Craig. And, we were sort of chatting, and he sort of at a place. He said, "I would love to do this. I'd love to help you out," which was incredibly generous and kind of him. And he moved some stuff around because he was on tour with Steve Hackett at the time. So I think Nick DiVigilio stepped in because it was an American leg of the tour.
Okay. Yeah.
And he came back into the fold, and it was literally like you know how when you're very good friends with somebody and you don't maybe a couple of years goes by and you don't see them, but then you see them again and you go hello, and you just carry on exactly as from the second you left off, like really good friends. And it was exactly the same. He was back in the band. We rehearsed for a week, and the 4 of us just had such a laugh again, as we always do. And it was after that, it was just a bit of a no-brainer, really. So we finished it, and he bless him, he emailed and said, that was some of the most fun I've had on tour ever, and it was just a question of like, well, welcome back, mate. When can you start? So when we did the new stuff, he said, of course, I'd love to do it. And he was on tour again with Steve Hackett. Yeah. And as a result, he when he was on tour, he'd play the drums wherever he could and send me over the parts and stuff. So I'd get a photograph of the kit in a hotel room. Then I get next day there'd be a kit of another kit in a different hotel room, and and he just played through it. And I think it took him about a week, maybe 10 days, but it was all brilliant, and it was that lovely just talking to him while he was on tour. It'd be like 8 o'clock at night here, and he'd be in, Brazil somewhere or something, or doing something with Steve Hackett, and just having these brilliant conversations. And yeah, he built the album over the internet, which was amazing. And as I say, his playing was. He's playing better than ever, I think.
I do have one more question, actually, because of how it was recorded and because it was basically you writing it and kind of piecing it all together and doing all of that. They must have done their parts without having known what the final thing was, really, yes, right? Yeah, so they each recorded their stuff, and then how much later did they finally get the finished product and then really almost hear it for the first time? And what was that like?
Pretty much when it was finished, because I mean the vocals were the last thing I did. Although I'd written the melodies and and I knew how it was going to go. The versions they didn't hear it on the versions they had. So basically they kind of have these weird sort of half finished bits of music, and I go, use your imagination. It's me. It'll be fine. Then we're going again. Yeah, all right, fair enough. And so it was basically, and actually in some respects, certainly with some of the things that Craig did, his playing kind of informed how the arrangements went. So it was all quite fluid until to the last minute, really. And as a result, occasionally I'd email him and go, I've written a new bit. And he'd go, oh, God. It's not long. It's only about 90 seconds. He'd be like, oh, all right, fine. So it literally was the whole thing kind of moved around until I locked it down right at the end. But they didn't hear it until it was finished, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think they liked it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, no doubt. Again, it comes out October 18th. There may be a few more singles out before it comes out. I'm not sure, but just an awesome album. One of my favorites of this year. I think people are really going to be impressed. It's really something.
Can I ask?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a question that's, prog is the only genre where fans go, so we want to see you live and we want to hear you play all of your new album. Like that's the only genre that actually happens.
Right.
Are there plans to do it live?
Yes, I mean I think we definitely want to do it, and I think, as you say, because it is what it is. What would be lovely would be to play it from bar one, beat one to the end. But obviously that's going to require 86 minutes of time, and then we're going to do it'll be like our Lamb Lies Down thing.
Yeah,
basically where we do that, and then we're going to go quick. There's a bit of Black Light Machine, a bit of Good night, thank you very much. So it's kind of. So in terms of doing it, we'd love to do it. We'd love to do it, but it's just about how we make it work, because obviously at the moment, it's financially it's quite an undertaking to go on tour. So I'm keeping an eye out for if there's the right package that comes along, or maybe there's a way we could do it, because we want to get back out to the States as well, and we haven't been over to Europe in ages, and there's all kinds of things we'd like to do, but it's just about making it work. Financially, really, that's the thing that's stopping us.
You should get back on the cruise. We got to see about that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? All right, let's go ahead and get started on this ELO wheel. Let me bring it up here. All right, there. So we have 15 albums plus a wild card, so we each get 4 spins. The wild card, if you land on it after the first round, you get to move an album wherever you want. Doesn't always end up being necessary, but it's just a way to even things out. All right, so what we'll do is I'll go first. Steve, you can go second. Geoff third. Jem, you'll round it up, so you get the ultimate power at the very end to place the last album and wreak havoc, if you so please. All right, I'll go ahead and spin. Cool. Let's see what we got.
We need a little jingle at the start of Shine a Little Light. Shine a Little Love.
Put some music on. All right, cool. Face the music. Okay. Darn it. Let's see. So, well, this is one of the great albums. This is really for me where I started to like the albums a lot more. The ones before that, sort of are hit or miss. They got some good songs, some good things on there. Here we have Evil Woman, Night Rider, Strange Magic, a few really big songs, awesome stuff. I'm gonna place this kind of right in the middle. No, I'm gonna go A, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in A.
You always do this, apparently. This is something that you do.
We do many of these. Yes, yeah, we
putting it at A.
No, you're
always really, really kind.
He is too kind.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think what else, because I have 3 I know are going in S. There's 2 more in A. I think this is a top 6 record. That's sort of where my logic is going. All right, discuss.
Well, I have this as an A-tier album. I just think the opening track, Fire and High, is just one of the most exhilarating instrumentals you will ever hear. And the album closer, One Summer Dream, just perfect chill-out vibes. I think that's a track that even Stephen Wilson has cited as a favourite. And everything in between. You got the big hits and the stomping rocker in Poker. I think it's an album that's got everything, and as you say, it's the first one with a really sort of classic ELO sound. So top 6 for sure, and I've got it in 80.
Okay, I remember, and again, I think probably the 3 of us from the UK, we must be certainly within a 20-year age band, if not even narrower than that. But I guess I got to, ELO were on TV, they were on the radio. I can remember hearing this album and also liking heavier music and hearing Poker and going, I never knew ELO did stuff like that. That was, I very distinctly remember hearing that. I had it as an A-tier album as well, so I'm definitely not going to dispute that, because I know Roie and I were chatting the tour that's just kicked off, and it was like, they're actually doing Fire and High on the tour.
Yeah,
maybe that would be amazing to see that live. Yeah.
I'm actually seeing the tour in a few days, so excited.
I think for me, I mean, actually, one of the reasons why I got into ELO was because of my brother, and he had right early. He had this. It was a triple box set, a triple album set called, I think it was 3 Light Years.
3 Light Years, yeah.
And this was one of those, I think. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Far and High, what a brilliant way to open an album, and I think it was that kind of, for me, this album was the one where they started to sort of turn into the sort of ELO that we all associate ELO sounding, because I think before that they were still in that kind of, that sort of much more kind of proggy phase, which personally I really, really like, as you will find out. But yeah, I mean, as you say, it's got Night Rider, Poker, Strange Magic, and One Summer Dream, as you say. I mean, I think in terms of the albums, because I went through all the list of the ones that I really, really like. For me, this isn't one of the bigger ones.
Okay.
because of the ones that were going to come. So I mean, I think for me that this would be a sort of C level.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, cool. So this could be fun. Good. It's good when we all don't agree. It's much better this way. All right, good. So we're off to a start. All right, Steve, you're next.
Spin the wheel.
All right, secret messages.
Okay.
Oh no, I have all. Look at this. I have them labeled wrong.
It's the Van Halen album.
I didn't change it. Oh man, that's terrible. All right.
This is a Frost gig. Everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
Well, secret messages. So this is the double album that never was. It's sort of edited down to a single album, which I think is a real shame. I think if you Google and find out the double album track listing as intended, and then assemble that and play it, it's a brilliant experience. So I'd recommend that anyone does that. As it is, I think when it's good, it's very, very good. I love the title track. I love Take Me On and On. I love Bluebird. But there's some weaker songs too. And I remember playing it for my friends on my 14th birthday in 1983. And all my friends hated it, and I got lots of stick. But they were all into Wham and Duran Duran and things like that. So I guess that sort of traumatic experience has scarred me a little bit. But yeah, it's okay. I have this as a C tier album, and it's good in parts, but it's not great in my view. So C tier for me.
Oh my goodness, this is like, that hurts me. Okay, I love
Roie,
this. Genuinely love this album, except for like the last 2 songs. It's so awesome through like the first 8 songs. Also, if you add the bonus track in there that is not on the vinyl, but
Time After Time,
which I really like. But Four Little Diamonds is great. Loser Gone Wild is great. Take Me On, Stranger is one of my favorite songs by them. The first like 8 songs I just love to death. It's at least a B, if not an A for me. But yeah, okay. I mean, I get it.
Roie and I agree on relatively little, but this is one thing that we do agree on. And I can disclose in 1983 when I was 13, Steve, I bought the cassette of this, and I can remember at the time that something I must have bought around about the same time as Mike Oldfield Crises, and having an album that had a song that was the whole side of a cassette was something that was, to me, and Secret Messages is all kind of joined together as well, and that was kind of just something that I remember as being quite interesting. And yeah, like all the songs you mentioned, I really, really enjoyed it because well, there's other albums around there that I didn't like so much, and I thought this is really good. The one thing I will say about the proposed double track list is the track that they've never put out, the Beatle tribute, Beatles Forever, is possibly one of the worst things that you could ever hear or experience in your life. Go to YouTube and try and find it. If the fact that it's a single album is because they decided to leave that track out, it's a good call. It's terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's fair. It is awful. But to counter that, I think "Hello, My Old Friend," which is like the proggy epic, which was missed off the album, is well worth seeking out.
Yeah, I have. That's a great. Was that from these sessions? "Hello, My Old Friend" was from Secret Messages. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. There's a little bit of I think it rips off "I'm the Walrus" in there, right? Or something. But no. Look, I was, I don't know, 10 or something when this came out. Whatever. And
Youngster.
I was weird like that. Like I bought this record like with money I earned, like, and I was listening to this when all my friends didn't even know this band existed. I didn't know anyone else liked ELO until I was older. It was just like this weird band that I liked because my dad introduced me to them, and I loved it. I just loved this record. Maybe that's why. All right, let's go ahead and move over, and let's see. Oh man. Let's see what it'll label this album. This is going to be fun.
It's me now. Which Van Halen album is most like?
Okay. Alone in the Universe. Diaper Down. That's actually funny. All right,
So,
Alone Universe.
yeah, I mean, so this is obviously one of the two, 2015 sort of era albums. I kind of struggle with both of them because, you know, I get it. You know, Jeff Lynne is ELO, ELO is Jeff Lynne. I love Armchair Theatre. I just don't think that probably these albums are anyway as good as that. And I think the problem is that there's so many occasions where I'm going, that really should have Tom Petty singing that song.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because it kind of has
I
that
was going to say the
sound.
exact same thing.
One's on this album, When I Was a Boy, which was kind of the first one that came out, which is a pretty good song. Love and Rain is a bit of a showdown thing. The title track is really good. I think it's probably, you know, the most kind of ELO-ish one of the whole album. But for me, it's a C tier at best. So I'll put it in C.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, seeing it side by side, Secret Messages, it's like I would have Secret Messages.
Secret Messages is way too low. That's just not right. I agree with you. I was listening to, I mean, I do like these records for what they are. They don't rank like as good as any of the other stuff, really. I wouldn't put it in D tier. I think C is probably correct, but I mean, they're just fun, good songs, and I'm glad to hear him back doing stuff. So it's all good, you know. And there's a few really good songs in there. The title track's actually really cool at the end. But you're right. I mean, it sounds like the Great Wide Open era Tom Petty. Like a lot of it sounds right like that stuff, which is wild. Anyway,
Yeah,
Jem, where are you with these? Oh, sorry.
Well,
Steve.
I think the thing is, I mean, what I loved about it, what I really liked, was the fact that his voice is still there, isn't it? And what gave me this kind of like, was when he starts to sing and the BVs are all there and all that sort of ELO kind of trademark stuff. I did think, you know, it's like seeing an old friend again. You know, like, oh, this is brilliant. But as you say, you know, the thing about it, the thing for me that made ELO was although Geoff obviously wrote everything. You know, I want Bev in there, and I want Rich. You know, I know Richard Talley was part of it, but you want that bit of it, you know. And I think for this, it did sound like he was, as you say, sort of Tom Petty, Wilburys kind of. It was that kind of. He's in that place now musically, which is fair enough. But you know, and I think a lot of it was slightly echoing back some of the things that they'd done previously, and they did them better. So yeah, I mean, that kind of, you know, it's great that he's doing them, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I so wanted this to be good. I mean, I was thrilled by Geoff's career resurgence, but being brutally honest, it's a Geoff solo album marketed as ELO, and it's just not. It's not up to the standard of the classic albums. I have this as a D tier album, unfortunately.
I actually like From Out of Nowhere better than this one. I think it was slightly some better songs on the one that came after the very last one. All right, Jem, you're up. I'll figure it all out. Oh, you're getting good ones. Okay. Oh, I'm wondering what you think of this one, actually. Discovery.
Oh. Well, I mean, Discovery.
I think it came out the same year as Fair Warning, to be fair. I think it was around the same year.
I think because I've made a very definite sort of top 5 when I was researching this and putting it together. And actually, in my world, this didn't really feature there. But I mean, but I think because it's not to say that it's not a great album, because obviously Shine Little Love is brilliant, Confusion is brilliant, Need a Love is great, Last Train to London I love, Wishing is brilliant. I mean, I love Don't Bring Me Down. I know it's kind of there's the story that wasn't it the story that it was an Australian bonus track.
Wow.
And
I don't know that.
Down, they are singing Bruce, because obviously in Australia everyone goes, all right, Bruce. But apparently and on the lyric it's gross, and you're going, there's no way they're singing that, you know. And I think because it was a little bit of an in joke. I could be wrong about that, but I remember reading that somewhere about it. It's got all the things that make Out of the Blue brilliant, but I don't think it has the Out of the Blue songwriting on it, you know. I think that's the point of it. And obviously I think you can kind of hear that you know, it's the And I sort of, I've know this phenomenon with writers, songwriter friends of mine is, when you have a massive hit, the terrifying thing afterwards is how do you follow that? And I think this album for me sounds a little bit like he was a little bit intimidated by what he'd already done. That's not to say there are some brilliant songs. The production, of course, is fantastic, but I don't think this is one of the ones that I think of ELO's very best. So I would put this. Well, I mean, for me, it's not even the list. So I'll put this at B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he call it Discovery because of disco? Is that
disco? Very. Yeah.
You can hear Kelly Garrett's dum 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 all the bass.
Yeah, it's very disco record. I love Last Train to London. It's not a song you would think I would like based on what I like, but it's one of my favorite songs by them. I love it. I love that one.
Yeah, no, that Last Train to London bit, and all that stuff is brilliant about it.
I love this album. This was the first album I ever owned, and the first time I ever connected with music as a 10-year-old. I was having my appendix out, woke up, and the first thing I heard on the hospital radio was the song "Shine a Little Love," and it was just an amazing sort of fireworks moment. And my mum and dad bought me the album as a present for coming home afterwards, and it's life-defining moment, really. And
wow.
The album has got a special place in my heart. That said, I think there's some filler on there with the benefit of hindsight, and I think B is fair. I would have it in B as well.
Yeah, no, me
Weren't they
too.
one of the first? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, to me, the things I read a couple of notes whenever I was sort of reviewing it. And Horace has to get a mention. Horace Wimp, but is brilliant track. Loved it. Too many ballads. For me, it kind of, and it feels like kind of it's Geoff trying to make his kind of ABBA album. I always feel like, and I'm not saying that as a criticism because I love ABBA, but to me it I think that was around about the time where he sort of had stopped touring, they'd sort of disbanded the live band, and he kind of started to move in towards this phase of making the records maybe that he wanted to make as opposed to band albums, and for me it's all a bit too much one thing. In fact, the story that I remember behind Don't Bring Me Down was that he got to the very end and they'd one day left and he said, we need a heavy one. And he got Mac to loop a drum rhythm. So, right. Bev Bevan technically plays on it, but it's just a loop. And he wrote it pretty much instantly, which is amazing, for a track that, is
I do remember that they did a thing where they filmed a video for every song and had it out as a special, right?
Yeah,
that was like one of the first times something like that was done. I don't know. Confusion's great. Need Her Love is great. It's not Out of the Blue or New World Record or some of those albums, but for what it is, I love it. I think it's perfect. B's about right. I think that's good.
I still think with Horace Wimp, there was that bit at the end was going Monday, Tuesday, and then there's the one going Horace. That's me think. You know what? Maybe someone should say, Geoff, maybe not do that. Horace.
Yeah, no one's done it since, so I guess.
No.
All right, round one's over. All right, good.
Oh,
I get the wild card? Well, actually, I might take this, actually.
I know what he's going to do.
I know what you're going to do.
That's right. I'm feeling good about this right now. Blammo. Okay. Secret Messages up to A.
I don't mind that, actually, because the thing is, I mean, in terms of in the Frost context with Secret Messages, that title track, I'm Morse code. There's all that. I do that, and there's all that lovely backward stuff and the links and all those little. Yeah. That's all the reason why all the inspiration that Frost have done there. That is all down to that album. Really,
yeah, and Secret Messages is top 2-3 song for me by them. It's so great. I tried to learn to play that once on guitar just cause one day. It has like 19 chords in just the verse. It's every chord ever you could play. It's ridiculous. I gave up. I'm like, I can't play this chord. You think some of his stuff is easy, but it's subtly like really hard. All right. Well, that was good. I feel better about that. All right, Steve, you're up.
It was fate, Roy. You've handed that.
Yes, that's right. Finally. Oh, okay. I love this album too. Balance of Power.
Okay,
Also
thank
known
you
as
for
Women
that.
and Children First.
Well, it's the one thing to say about ELO is that I think they are genuinely progressive in the sense that every album sounds different to the one before. And if you look at the changing sound over what is 13 years of the classic period, and this is another example of that, the sound of this album is very different from its predecessor. And it's Geoff trying to be relevant in the mid 80s, and I give credit for that. But I mean, it's too far a departure from the traditional ELO sound. I think Getting to the Point is an awesome power ballad. It's probably one of the sort of last sort of really great songs Geoff has written. Calling America is a brilliant single. There's a great non-album track called Destination Unknown, which I think was a B-side, which is rocks hard as a brilliant track. But I think the rest of it is so sort of throwaway. I think Send It, possibly the worst album closer ever, etc. I have some fondness of this period. I saw ELO live with Geoff, Richard, and Bev in 1986, and so I have some nostalgia attached to that period, and therefore this album. But it's just scrapes into C tier for me, and that's where I'll put it for now. But you probably detect I'm not a huge fan of it.
Which word did you say? I'm sorry.
C tier. Just scrapes into C for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. Although I do like this album. It's not really what ELO was. It is. It's downsized, streamlined, whatever you want to call it. But the songs themselves, again, and I think it's just because he's such an amazing songwriter. They're still good songs. Heaven Only Knows is great. And I really, really, one of my favorite songs. Whenever I made a cassette of favorite ELO songs, back in the day, the one song I always included from this album was Is It All Right, which I think is just the best hooky chorus song on this thing. So, this Without Someone's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, maybe about half of it is throwaway, I guess. I still can listen to it. I still like it. But yeah, I guess Steve's all right.
I remember this sort of phase. I remember getting the album when it came out, and even then, I couldn't. I was what was it? 83 was it? No, 86. 86.
Yeah.
So I was 15, and I remember thinking, I think that's probably enough now, and because it kind of was a little bit like they'd been so brilliant, and by this point, I think Bev had gone. And I think it kind of became like the three albums that happened most recently. It's the drum machine or the samples and the sequences. But yeah. You're right.
I think Bev was officially still in the band at this point, but I remember buying the album and Kelly is not in the band photo, and I had no idea that Kelly had left the band, pre-internet, and that was a major shock. And listening to it, there's very little of what I would recognise as Bev's style on this album.
But I was excited when I saw because the current tour they're doing now in the U.S., Calling America was on the set list for I think one show, and then they cut it the very next night. So
yeah, I noticed that as well. It's a bit like it kind of happens with Queen as well. They play.
Oh, here we go.
A deep cut for two shows and then realize everybody goes to the bathroom. So okay,
all right, time.
This might be controversial. So
oh no.
Apologies in advance, but Time, I just don't like it. For me, like I was talking about Secret Messages and saying how much I loved it. I love Secret Messages so much because I just never got Time, and even now, I just. I
don't even understand how that's possible.
I barely know the tracks apart from Hold On Tight, which
the worst song on the whole thing.
It's okay. Now Twilight is one of my absolute. If I was doing the mixtape, it would absolutely definitely be on it. But between those two, it just never was a one that connected with me at all, so I don't have very much to say for it. So for me, it's a C.
Oh
I
my
have to go
God.
now.
Oh my God. You cut me so deep with this one, Geoff. This is an S. This is S tier for me. This is my second favorite ELO album after Out of the Blue. It's a masterpiece of. It's just genius. And when I was like 6 or 7 listening to this, I felt like I was being transported to another. I wanted to see this future. I wanted to experience. You know what I mean? I was so deep into it. The robots and the time travel and Rain is Falling and Here Is the News, like one of the best songs ever. And oh my God, this is criminal.
I'm with Roie on this. I mean, where's the wild card?
I'm with Roie on this. 100%.
I just think
maybe I should leave.
Just for me, just a brilliant concept, well executed. I think in Ticket to the Moon, you have a genuinely great song. I'm going to say that I think it is a crime that the track When Time Stood Still was not used on the album. It was used as a B-side, and I think
and Julie Don't Live Here Anymore, which was also great.
Yeah,
all part of the story.
I think that would have turned a sort of 9.5 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 for me. I would have this in S tier, but I respect what Geoff is saying, but don't agree on this occasion.
Well, nobody respects me, so don't worry. But yeah, I mean, I will go back and try. I mean, I have a memory of Ticket to the Moon being on Top of the Pops or something, and just like nearly falling asleep to it. I don't know. Maybe it was just where I was at that point in life.
No, this is it's really truly one of my favorite albums by anyone. Like it is. Okay. But one of us can remedy this. Just put something else in C, and at least get this album to B if we can. All right, Jem.
That's actually my favorite ELO album.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna find out where you live, Geoff.
Listen, we have a hashtag among our group friends. It's just called Being Geoff, and this is you've experienced it now. All right.
There's more to come, guys. Don't worry.
All right. On the third day, this is Jem. This was you.
I love this album. I absolutely love this album. It's one of those albums where I think the only one I don't really like on it is Mama Bell, but everything else. I mean, Ocean Breakup, King of the Universe, Bluebird is Dead. I mean, the whole thing it's contiguous. It's got all the time signature changes. It's got the orchestral stuff. It's got the Beatlesy kind of stuff with New World Rising and then the reprise of Ocean Breakup and for me it was one of the ones that was in the 3 Light Years vinyl thing that I heard, and it's just so exciting and and it's for me it's that. It's got the classic ELO sound, and Richard Tandy is just on fire all the way through it, and I mean, what an underrated keyboard player. God rest his soul. I mean, he really was. And considering it wasn't his first instrument, he was a bass player. I thought, well, I bet I'll learn the piano. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was the bass player in the band.
He was the bass player. He ended up being one of the greatest keyboard players of all time. So it's kind of I mean, for me, I love it. I love the fact that it's a bit like time in the same way that it's kind of it's an enclosed universe where all this is happening, and you kind of feel that you're looking in on a sort of window on a world, and there's drama and there's sort of the ballads are brilliant, and Oh No Not Susan's great, and I love it. I love it. This is well up there for me. I mean, on my list, I had this in B category. I think it's a great piece of work.
Yeah,
absolutely. I had it B as well, if it helps.
Yeah, that works.
Redeem me.
I got it.
But I read things that I remember. Things that I remember again in the years before, Guitar Tab and the internet. Being able to work out Mama Bell. I know you said you don't like it, but being able to work out that riff on a guitar, it was a kind of a moment.
It's not a bad song, but obviously because I'm a keyboard player, so I just went guitar.
Oddly one they've always played live for some reason. But
yeah.
It's worth saying there's a lot of life. I was about to say, there's a lot of live footage from this era on video and on record. It's well worth checking out, actually. There's a live album, The Night the Light Went On in Long Beach, which is really good.
Oh yeah.
And in the Hall of the Mountain King, I think Rocks Hard on the live album. Yeah. Well
But
worth
also, let's not forget the original album cover, where for some inexplicable reason they're all exposing the belly button. In itself, completely brilliant. Yeah.
All right.
Lord Giver.
There's a debate of whether or not to include this one, Xanadu. Okay. I mean, it's not a full ELO album, plain and simple. The songs are all good. Even the Olivia Newton-John songs are massive hits, like Magic and even the one she did with Fred Astaire, right? That's really good. It's kind of different. But I'm Alive is awesome. All Over the World is awesome. Actually, all those songs are really great. And when they came back around to start touring a few years ago, he started playing live an acoustic version of Xanadu, just a more rock version, which I love. That's so much better, and it's great. So, I prefer that version now. But I mean, I got to put this in D, I guess, because
No. You
I
don't
don't know where else to put
You don't
this.
got to.
Yeah.
But sorry. Well, again, I'll do my thing.
You would put this above Time.
No.
You're telling me this is better than
Absolutely.
Time.
Absolutely, yes, it is. But let's not compare it to
Parallel
Time.
universe is this?
I think it is. I think those 5 tracks for me are better than most of Discovery. I think that I'm Alive, Don't Walk Away, I think is as good a song as Telephone Line. I think it's a really good song. All Over the World. Xanadu, I think one of the box sets, Geoff did a sort of a rocky version of it that's really good. This is an album, I think we had it on cassette, and it was one of those, it was a great compromise album for the for car journeys, because it was ELO on one side and my brother liked Olivia Newton-John. And so, when it flipped to the other side, we kind of had equity. But I think I just love all 5 songs on it, and I think there's more standout songs in it for me than there is in Discovery, which is why I was struggling to put it but below Discovery. But
but I'm looking at some of the other albums left, and I don't see 3D albums other than this one, and so I don't know what else I would put there. But
I do.
I do think.
Out of the Blue or New World Record, probably.
One of the redeeming, because I was listening to this today just to sort of refresh my memory. I've got to say, Xanadu, the track, it's 100 house points for just how insane it goes at the end.
Yeah.
It's like these weird chords, and she's going, woo, and there's strings and bells. I was thinking, I don't remember this, and then it ends with a weird high synth note. Fair play. That's never going to get more prog than that.
We love the movie in our house and the whole thing. All the kids have all seen it. It's great. I mean, and I like the album. I can't rank it above some of these on this tier.
In the interest of balance, I'm with Geoff on this, actually. These are 5 great songs. And
they are good.
And actually, the movie is a lot better than people say it is. I watched it recently. But anyway, I would have this somewhere.
I'm not sure people say it's that good.
It's pretty terrible, but it's fun.
It's fun. That's true.
I mean, there was no better actor. There was no better actor than that guy in all of Hollywood.
Where would you put it, Steve?
I had this at the top of my seat here, actually. So if I was doing this, I would bump the Jeff Lynne's ELO album and put Xanadu in its place, but I'm not, so I won't.
I agree, actually. I agree. I think that's right.
I suppose I could have used this to bump up Time, but oh well. There's still time to do that. Okay, let's see, Steve. New World Record.
New World Record. Is this one me? Yeah.
Yep.
I love this album. Isn't it the true realization of the classic ELO sound? And perfect mix of rock, pop, and orchestral. I think the thing with ELO, they're known for their really big hits, and there's some great ones here. It's Telephone Line, Rock Area, Living Thing. But the real depth and quality for ELO is in the album tracks and the deep cuts. And I think one of the greatest examples of that is the track Shangri-La, the closer on this album. I just think it's a perfect piece of music. The last minute, it's goosebumps all the way. And for that reason, this has become one of my favourite albums. There's a couple of tracks that don't work quite so well for me, like Mission and So Fine doesn't really do it for me. But it's a high quality album, to state the obvious. I've got this top of my A tier, so I'll put it in A.
Only A? Okay. Man, you guys are tough.
There are 3 albums I like
even better. That's an S tier record. How is that not an S tier album? It's an all-time masterpiece record.
It's great.
Okay. Wow, really man, tough group of people here.
No, I'm with you completely. I think it's absolutely. But actually, I really like So Far. I like it mainly for that completely mad bit in the middle where it goes, and it's off going. You think, at what point did he think this is what? It's just so brilliant, and that's what was great about Geoff in that kind of, and it's all written again. I love it. I love it all. It's a superb album. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, Living Thing and Telephone Line are just unbelievable masterpieces. And then I hadn't heard, I was a fan of some of the hits and things like that, and I actually didn't ever hear Shangri-La until kind of a few years later. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy awesome. What an amazing song. With the little Beatles tribute there in the lyric, which I always thought was really cool. Like, what is he saying there? I had to go figure out what he was saying. All right, wow. That A tier is super strong. Okay.
Interesting albums left.
What You can redeem yourself, Geoff. You can redeem yourself here, Geoff.
S2 is this one? Is this S?
I can't. I think it's bit of bad luck to get the 2 2010 ELO albums.
Yeah, you got them both. That's funny.
This was the one. I have an enormous iTunes library of pretty much everything I have ripped from CD, and I realized that I didn't have this in it. And I'm kind of a bit of a completist on most things, and realized that I'd bought it on vinyl for a few quid, and played it maybe once and never felt to go back. So I actually did listen to it, all 32 minutes of it. You're spoiling us, Geoff. And there are, the thing that was interesting about it is there's actually 2 songs that he wrote that is kind of about the band coming back, which is, there's one called One More Time, and there's one that's very explicitly Time of Your Life, which is about playing at Wembley. And I think that self-referential thing was quite interesting, because Geoff doesn't often write very personal things, at least, maybe they feel a bit more generic. And I thought that was, those 2 tracks were kind of interesting. But for me, it sort of has to be a D tier, I think.
I understand putting it in D. I'd probably put it in C. I like it better than Alone in the Universe. But it's not an ELO album. I just think it has some good songs that are fun. Sci-Fi Girls is catchy. From Out of Nowhere is good. I don't know. I just sort of like it. I can't really explain why. I know it's not the best thing he's done, but I just find the songs fun to listen to.
But there's a track on it called Down Come the Rain. I don't know if you know, but it's one of those ones where you go like if someone picked that up and recorded it, it's actually a really good, a country artist or a kind of Tom Petty wannabe. There's some really, really good songs in here. It's just when we're comparing it to everything else, it's not up there.
It does have a Richard Tandy piano solo, though, which is decent 30 seconds or so. And if that's his last recorded moment, pretty sure it might be, then, what a way to go out.
Yeah, that's right. Cool.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know.
Come on,
This
Godfrey. Come on.
This S tier is gonna be. This S tier is gonna be weird. Oh boy. All right. This will be interesting. The very first album.
I haven't done every Wheel of Prog, but I'm pretty sure it must be very rare for us to get this far with having nothing in S tier.
No, there should have been 2 in there already, but you guys are insane.
Anyway,
Okay.
sorry.
Do you know what? I actually like this album.
Oh no.
I do like this album because I like, obviously, it being sort of, album. It's album number 1, isn't it? Basically, I mean, this is it. So, but I like Roy Wood's influence on it. I like the 10. Was it 10?
10538
Overture. I love that. I mean, I think these days, obviously, the recording doesn't quite stand up to scrutiny. It is a little bit, and you got the cello over there, another one. But I think the songwriting actually there's some really good songs on this. I think that Look at Me Now is great. It's got that kind of Beatlesy kind of thing going on, and I like on the 10538 Overture, I like the fact that Roy and Geoff are sort of trading vocal lines. That's really cool. And you never really got to hear ELO having a different singer, and it was actually quite interesting that Roy was almost the sort of more dominant vocal at that point, and they're both great vocals, and they're all doing that whole thing at the end. It's the dee 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 dee. And you can absolutely see where the band were going to go, and I think I think like the Battle of Marston Moor. I mean, it's kind of Genesis could have done that. There is that sort of, you can hear that 60s kind of, and Mr. Radio, of course, that sort of big Beatlesy kind of thing going on, and even Manhattan Rumble, I think, is kind of the arrangements are so dense, and they're trying to do like 10 albums in 6 tracks. And I love the ambition of it. I love the ambition of this album, and I didn't hear this till quite late, after listening to all the other albums. And as a starting point, you've got to say, they really weren't they weren't shrinking violets. They were really aiming for the stars with this. So I quite like it. I mean, obviously it being, however, it was 71, was it? I think it came out. Mm-hmm. So it's as old as me. And I think we're both weathering about the same. so I think in terms of what it is and what it represents, and
you could do you could do something here. You could fix some things if you're I'm
going to put this in B. I think just because I think what it does is
you could put it in C and bump time up. Is all I'm saying, but.
Did I? I'll stick it in C then. That's fine. No,
I'm just letting you know you could do that. That's all I was saying. You don't have to do it.
You get a wild card to do that. Is that can you not do that with a wild card?
No, the wild card allows you to move it wherever you want. But if you
bollocks,
and then bump time up, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, bump time up. Yeah, definitely. No, but in terms, my sentiment is still true. In fact, I think in terms of showing what the promise of what a band could be, I think it's brilliant. It's fun. You can hear them having fun on the record, and
I got this one later also, like you, and I 10538 is great for the songwriting of it, but the production.
In my head, I keep saying 90125, and of course, it's not 901.
Yeah, the production of it on this album is terrible, and so it makes it hard to listen to. The live version of that song is great. And,
yeah.
But yeah, this is the one ELO album for me I would put in straight D tier because I just can't listen to it. It's really hard to get through sonically. It's just bad, and that's not really fair, I guess, but I just find it really challenging.
Whenever we did our Progust, where we do an album a day, and one of our crew was very dismissive of Tubular Bells and couldn't listen to it because he felt it was out of tune the whole way through. I was disgusted at that, but that's how I feel about this album. Mostly. What I'd written down was annoying cellos trying to do something different with out of tune violas.
Recorded terribly.
However, there is for anyone who wants to slightly redeem it, when I was reading up on it, there's a Granada TV. They did a 6-song live set at the time that this came out. And it's really funny because Roie does all the talky bits between the songs, but Geoff actually sings most of them. But it's the most insane thing you've ever seen because Roie is like Father Christmas with John Lennon glasses, and he, like, there's songs he's harping away on a saxophone, terribly. But actually, there's proper string players. And there's some of the versions in that actually sound much better than the album. So, Thought though it would have been D tier for me.
I mentioned earlier that Discovery was the first album I heard at age 10. The second one I heard was this album, which the 10-year-old me was not ready for, and I was it made me cry at age 10. Here we are.
I thought they were later. A good band. This is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But decades later, Whisper in the Night, what a fabulous vocal by Roie, and like first movement, the guitar playing on that, I think is terrific. And people don't realise what a proggy band were were in the early days, and this is a great example of that. I would also have this in B, but I think C is fair, looking at what else is in B. But it's got some great sort of minor prog epic moments on it, and well worth checking out.
Yep. All right, we can do that. That's fine. And there's certainly another D album in this mix here. This is my last one. Oh wow, Eldorado. Okay.
Steady now, Roie.
Is this a favorite for you, Jem? Eldorado?
Yes. Just a bit.
Okay, so I obviously I like it. I like, Can't Get Out of My Head, the Eldorado Overture, Laredo Tornado is great. There's a bunch of good songs on here. It's still, for me, a step below what Face the Music was, what New World Record was. Like, it's great, but it's just right under those. It's like, okay, we're almost getting there, and then they rip the lid off with the next, 3-4 albums. So I think it almost works. Props to them for doing the whole concept record. They're still in their proggy phase a little bit, which is very cool. The album cover is sort of iconic, which is, really neat. But yeah,
I've got inside your head. Don't do anything strategic. Place it honestly.
No, I am.
I know what you're going to do here. I know exactly what you're going to do here.
But yes, but I'm not. Obviously, it's not an S tier, and it's not a D tier. I have to put it somewhere where I move something. It's not my fault, Geoff. It's beyond my control.
It's 3D chess. I love it.
So I am going to do this. I'm going to put it in B, and then so then this goes up to S, and that's how I'm going to arrange it.
I guarantee if time had been an A, you'd have made that an A tier album just to bump it up.
We'll never know.
You're not being honest to yourself. It's not a B tier album.
No, I those first
tell them why,
the ones
Jem.
in
Go on.
Listen, the one in S and the other 3 in A I like better than Eldorado. For real, honest to God truth.
I think that's a shocker. I got to say. I think, Roy, you and I first met on Twitter because I was raving about this album. This is my number one album of all time by anyone, not just ELO.
Wow.
Wow.
It gives me musical highs like no other album I know, and I think Side 2 just a perfect collection of songs. And the concept's brilliant. I think every track really fully realises it. It's a major leap forward in sound. I love the drumming on it. Bev is my favourite drummer for that reason. And I met him 2 years ago, and I got him to sign the cover, which is now a cherished possession. So fairly obviously, I would have this as S tier. So I think we've got some haggling to do. I think, but no,
there's still movement to happen.
Well, the title track is amazing. Right at the end, it's so full of emotion, and I love Mr. Kingdom as well. I mean, that's a brilliant.
Yeah.
Way, and I love again the way it's just this massive. It's going the production ideas were brilliant. I mean, really, really forward thinking. I think at this point they're doing those cuts between tracks. dead stops.
I do like how the real first main song is "Can't Get Out of My Head," the big ballad, sort of. It's kind of very different approach to it.
Yeah. That's a great record,
and that's one of the best songs they did. I'll give them that. Okay, so
without it's S tier.
What's that?
S tier without a doubt.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Right, Geoff, we've got to work together on this, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Well, I wonder. I think I have an idea where you're putting this one, but let's see.
Okay, I think similar to other comments, this is probably a Geoff solo album marketed as ELO, and I sort of, for that reason, look down on it a little bit. I think there are some good songs. Lonesome Lullaby, probably one of my favourite songs of his, actually. 2 or 3 decent songs otherwise, but in general, I think it's quite a dull album, dare I say it. But we've got to do something about Eldorado, haven't we?
You're going to put this in B? That's blasphemy.
So
this is a straight Deer album, and you know it, Steve.
I have it literally at the bottom of my D tier, so I should be honest. And it's a D tier album. It's just not proper ELO, unfortunately. Yeah, let's stick it there.
I have to say, sadly, that this was the one album that disappointed me the most of the sort of comeback records, because at the time when this one came out, it was like, okay, oh wow, Jeff Lynne's back, and he was still sort of involved more in the limelight, I guess. And he had been away from me doing ELO for a while. He comes back, and even the first song from it, All Right, was like, that doesn't sound like ELO at all. I mean, it was just sort of this weird rock song, and it's fine. To me, there's 2 songs on it that sound like ELO. Moment in Paradise is really great, and it could have been one of those ballads from the 80s. And Melting in the Sun was the other one towards the end. That's really good. But yeah, whereas the last 2 albums, I think they're in that similar vibe, but I think they're hooked. They have catchy parts. They're memorable songs. This one is very forgettable throughout. I just think a lot of it's not great.
I put this a bit higher than the other 2. I don't know whether it's because I spent more time with it. And again, it's probably, when it came out was probably the era before streaming and not necessarily having everything. So when you got something, you maybe spent a bit more time listening to it. I think if someone has, I don't know if there's a website, or I'm sure there's a website or a Twitter page which is one word album reviews, and the one word album review for this is All Right, the first track.
First word of all.
Yeah.
It's just all right. It's just all right.
It's just all right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think Geoff referred to it earlier, but a much better album is Armchair Theatre, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love that one.
Listen. Yeah, it's a must listen.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Geoff. Let's see.
Well, it's
which one of these 2 albums? And I know how you feel about both of them, which is interesting. Okay, Out of the Blue.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
very careful.
Of course, it's S tier. I mean, of course it's S tier.
Well, at least we have.
But I wish I'd got the other one, because then I could have done a kind of an upward cascade of things that I wanted higher. I can't really put this anywhere other than A tier. We're talking earlier on about definitive double albums where there's no filler. It's to me it's an album where, I mean, it's a big jump from New World Record. There seems to be a confidence, and also an ability to go, well, look, we can do the pop songs, we do that, we can do the sweet, the what's it, Concerto for a Rainy Day. We can do that prog bit and take up a bit of the album with that, and that's good. Something like Jungle, which is just, a crazy, did they invent world music? I don't know, but it's kind of that sort of strange thing. Soul ballad, throw in a soul ballad and it's okay because it's just something different. Birmingham Blues, rock track, Wild West Hero,
Brilliant.
incredible harmonies. There's just, and I'm only mentioning, a handful of them because I could talk about every single track in this one. I mean, to me, it's I love Eldorado as an album. I think, but I love it in a different way than I love Out of the Blue, because Out of the Blue just to me has absolutely everything in it,
including the best artwork. I mean, it's just a feast.
The whole thing about it was just great. Yeah.
There's a line in the song Jungle. Are we allowed to say the line out loud, Roy? If not, edit it out. But wondrous is our great blue ship that sails around the mighty sun, and joy to everyone that rides along. That is probably one of my favourite lyrics of all time. It's just absolutely brilliant.
I love how he does the Dylan version of it as well. Wondrous is a great blue ship.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this album is great, but for me, just Wild West Hero, man, there's no better song than that. And getting to see that live in the last few years when they came back, because I never thought they'd add that to the live set. I thought that's just a weird deep cut or something. For him to include that, I was just in heaven. I think that's just the best song ever. So yeah, I love this album to death. It's just amazing.
There's not one track on it I don't love, and that's a rare thing for a double album. Let alone a single album.
Right.
I just love it. Every time I put it on.
Take any random song, Big Wheels Turning, Thunder and Lightning, Sweet as the Night. They're all great songs. Just
and that
awesome.
lovely, and Sweet as the Night, that lovely bit where Kelly takes the lead vocal in the second bridge, and it's just like, oh, come on, this is so nice. And it's just like, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Jem, you get the last one, which really could go anywhere, honestly. I mean, depending on
who knows? Who knows where this is going to go?
I know what you boys are going to do. I know exactly what you're going to
do. ELO 2, which I like this album. It's a different album, but I like this one.
Well, I don't want to end proceedings on a downer, but this is one of I don't like this album at all.
Oh wow.
I think for me, this was Roie had gone, and this just sounds like Geoff trying too hard. He's over singing. I think he's going all of this. He's trying to be the rock singer, and and I think there's, I do like, is it Kiyama? Is that the one? That's
Kiyama. That's great.
That's a great track. I mean, that melodically, that's fabulous, and it's beautifully played. And the arrangement's great. Showdown's all right. It's fine, but I think. Things like Roll Over Beethoven, there was always a thing about ELO when they did do the kind of rock and roll sort of, cover thing that you sort of go, fine, that's all right. But that's, I appreciate the balance between the two, but, it's the thing that leaves me fairly cold, I'm afraid. So I'm afraid as an album, I'd have to put this in, A tier.
A?
Didn't expect that.
We've never had a Wheel of Prog like this. I'm assuming you're moving up to S. I'm just going to.
I reckon.
I wonder.
We might have to. I think perhaps maybe Time.
I think that's about right.
One maybe.
Sure, that works for me.
Yeah, I think it's such a yeah.
This is a record. We've never had an album move from C to A in one go. We've never had that. That's wild.
That feels about right.
Bravo, everybody! Great teamwork.
Right. Can I ask, strategic gameplay notwithstanding, if you were being honest, Mr. Godfrey, where would you actually put this?
D. But there's a greater moral victory to be fought here, I think.
Clearly.
Sorry, Jem.
You did what was right. Good for you, Jem. Everybody go buy the Frost album.
No scruples. Throw it.
Burn it.
Burning
I told you this was fun. Well, yeah. I mean, I think we'll adjust. Let's put Out of the Blue up in the front, I think, and we'll move. Let's see. We can move this one up here. We can put Eldorado at the front on this one.
Yeah.
And maybe that way.
I'm
that
pleased
work
to
for
see.
everybody
I should
mostly?
say, everybody thinks that I'm contrary, right? But actually, my S and A tier are 5 of those 6 albums, and guess which one is not in mine?
I'm pleased to
Yeah,
see
I mean, I
ELO
sort
2 in
of.
A tier though.
Sorry, 4 actually, 4.
Yeah.
4, sorry, 4 of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
I honestly, I would have thought Eldorado would have been in A had it worked out instead of ELO 2, but otherwise, I sort of feel like everything else is okay. To
Steve,
be honest,
where
now.
would you put ELO Part 2 or
Well, I
2?
would
Sorry.
have that in A. I mean, this is the Prog Report, right? And this is probably
Oh,
the
wow.
proggiest ELO album. So I
Right.
like seeing it there. And I think the track Key Armour, let me just say something about that. There's an instrumental passage in the middle with piano, cellos, and just a heartbreaking violin solo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think along with things like, I would rank that song along with Awaken and Starless and, dare I say it, Million Town, as just
Oh,
an essential prog epic that everybody should know. So I love seeing it in A tier. That's why I had it.
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So that
Yeah,
feels.
brilliant.
Then it all worked out great, guys. This was really a lot of fun. Jem, great to have you on this one for sure. Perfect guest. Steve, awesome to have you as well. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. We love.
It's not awesome to have me, but
Yeah.
I keep it interesting.
You I talk to every day. But yeah, guys, again, just reminder to get the Frost album, Life in the Wires, comes out October 18th.
Much.
Please check it out. If you like ELO, for sure, you're going to like that record. And it's awesome. Jem, thank you, my friend, for being on here. Awesome to have you on.
It was such fun. It was brilliant. Thank you for inviting me. I've loved it. It's been brilliant.
Great, guys. All right, everybody, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our socials, progreport.com. Check out the other Wheel of Progs. We just did a Flower Kings one recently, which was a lot of fun as well. And stay tuned for the rest of the year for our awards, best of podcasts, all that stuff. And we'll see y'all again soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all our socials and progreport.com. And we'll see y'all again real soon. Thanks.